This is the AB4WS radio show. Every week, bringing you the exciting amateur radio news and information happening in the greater Cincinnati, Ohio, Kentucky, and Indiana areas.
The AB4WS radio show can be found on the Apple Podcast app or your favorite podcast application. And now also available on the AB4WS radio show YouTube channel. The FCC announced that the FCC licensing and management system and other licensing sections have reopened on Tuesday, November 18, 2025, following the shutdown. Some systems may still have a backlog of filings to process, but all government agencies are now operational. Some great news for those waiting to receive their license. Applications for the 2026 Youth on the Air Camp will open on December 1st, 2025. If you know of a young ham between the age of 15 and 25 that would like to attend the camp on June 14th through the 19th in Huntsville, Alabama, and have them go to youthontheair.org for the information on how to apply. Congratulations to several hams who upgraded at the recent Northern Kentucky Amateur Radio Club Amateur Radio Exam Session. Jim Hurdle, N0QAS, upgraded to Extra, as well as Travis Farley, who upgraded to Extra, but is still waiting for his license from the FCC since he passed his Technician and General exam last month. Also waiting for his call is Stephen Turner, who passed his Technician license last month, and this month came back and passed his General test. Also upgrading to General were Robert Porter, N8NVA, and Greg Lang, KR4ECT. Congratulations. Frank Prager, W8CXU, has become a silent key. Frank was first licensed in 1946 as W3LWT after serving in the U.S. Army at the end of World War II. He returned home to Pennsylvania where he utilized his GI Bill to obtain a degree in Industrial Relations and Accounting at the University of Pittsburgh. He retired to Kennesaw, Georgia in 1991. He was a life member of the ARRL and the Quarter Century Wireless Association. A club newsletter can keep members informed of the news and upcoming events, keep them interested between meeting and activities, teach them all about ham radio skills and technology, or even make them laugh, member, or set an operating goal. Sky's the limit. The ARRL wants to see what your club does with a mix of information that can go into a newsletter. Enter the club newsletter contest for a chance to have your newsletter honored in QST magazine. Here are the rules and requirements. The club newsletter contest is open to any ARRL affiliated club that has published a newsletter for at least 1 year. Submit the PDF files of the 1 year's worth of consecutively published issues, ending with your most recent issue. Your newsletter is monthly, submit 12 consecutive issues. If your newsletter is bi-monthly, submit 6 consecutive issues. If your newsletter is quarterly, submit 4 consecutive issues. Submissions must include a completed club newsletter contest submission form, which is found at www.awrl.org/club-newsletter-contest, which asks for information about your club and the newsletter, as well as a 500-word statement on the purpose of your newsletter and how the newsletter's content and design fulfill that purpose. Part of the judging process will include a comparison of these statements with the newsletter samples. Winners will be notified in May of 2026, with awards presented at the Huntsville Hamfest in August of 2026. Winners will be announced in the 2026 issue of QST magazine as part of the ARRL's Year of the Club celebration. The QST article may present material from the 500-word statement supplied in the winner's club newsletter's contest submission form. Please note that the winners may be asked to supply a high-resolution files of the specific newsletter page. So get out there and submit your club's newsletter today. On November 22nd from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. is the Ohio Aries Conference at the OSU COTC Warner Building Library, 219 University Drive in Newark, Ohio. Registration is necessary. For more information, go to aries.unioncountyohio.us. Want to learn more about WinLink? Well, come on out to the Amateur Radio Emergency Team of Northern Kentucky meeting on November 24th at the Bethesda Community Church, 989 East Mount Zion Road in Independence, Kentucky, where at 7 p.m. the training team will continue their presentation on WinLink, this time talking about and demonstrating use of WinLink over HF and VHF and using internet-connected RMS gateway. They'll be setting up both HF and VHF antennas outdoors and have the radios indoors sending and receiving messages to and from the attendee attendees. They intend to incorporate and use some of the member-carried HTs to communicate through a local VHF digipeater, along with a lot of hands-on questions and answers. The business meeting will start at 5:30 for those interested in the business meeting, with the training starting at 7 p.m. Elections for the Okayan Amateur Radio Society will be held at the meeting on December 2nd at 7:30 p.m. at the usual meeting place of the Arlington Heights Town Hall, 601 Elliott Avenue in Cincinnati, Ohio. Nominations are still open if you want to nominate your favorite candidate. So far, our current officers up for re-election are President Ryan, AC8UJ, Vice President Chessie, KD80OB, Secretary Steve, N8PUP, Treasurer Kevin, K8ZOZ, and Director, 3-year term, Bruce, N8BV. To nominate someone, reach out to one of the members of the nominating committee, which are Drew, K8JTL, Steve, K8TEY, or Andy, K3CAQ. This will also be the holiday party. The Western Kentucky Parks on the Air meetup will be held on December 6th at the Lake Barkley State Resort Park. For lunch at 11 a.m. to 1 p.m., bring your go kit for show and tell, and do your activation before and after the event. On December 15th, everyone is invited to the Northern Kentucky Amateur Radio Club annual Christmas dinner at 7 p.m. at the Golden Corral Restaurant, 4770 Houston Road in Florence, Kentucky. This year, the Greater Cincinnati Amateur Radio Association 1936 Net will host its annual AM night on Thursday, December 18th, 2025 on 1936 kHz. The activities get underway with the pre-net check-ins beginning at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The official net begins at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time or 0200 Zulu. Typically, the net lasts 2 hours. The net control station will be Bill NM4A, located in Union, Kentucky. The net typically attracts about 65 stations from all over the United States during the course of the evening. All AM check-ins are welcome. This is a great opportunity to hear some classic AM rigs, heavy metal, military, broadcast AM transmitters, and state-of-the-art software-defined radio, all on good old-fashioned angel music. So tune that dial to 1936 on December 18th and check in to one of the oldest nets in the world.
Repeater news.
Are you looking for the most up-to-date list of repeaters in the greater Cincinnati area? Well, I have an Excel spreadsheet where I've listed repeaters that are active in the area, separated by tabs for each band or mode, so you can easily look for just DMR repeaters or 2-meter analog repeaters and so on. The list includes 2 meters, 220, 440, 6 meters, D-Star, DMR, C4FM, P25, and some other classifications. Every time I update the file, I include the date and the file name so that you know you have the latest update. To download the file, go to the AB4WS Radio Show Facebook page and go to the file section and download the file. If you're not on Facebook, email me at ab4ws.radio@gmail.com and I can email you the latest file. If you see any errors, problems, additions, or corrections, email that information to ab4ws.radio@gmail.com.
Hamfest.
On December 6th, from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. is the Fulton County Winter Hamfest at the Delta American Legion Post 373 at 5939 Ohio State Route 109 and County Road F in Delta, Ohio. For more information, go to k8bxq.org.
Are you looking to upgrade your license? Do you have someone else that's interested in the hobby? Here are some upcoming exam opportunities.
The Milford Amateur Radio Club holds amateur radio testing on the third Thursday of each month at 6 p.m. at the Miami Township Civic Center, 6101 Meyer Drive in Milford, Ohio. Please pre-register at milfordhamradio.org. The Dayton Amateur Radio Association has exams frequently. For their exam schedule, email exams.w8bi@gmail.com. On December 11th, the DeForest Amateur Radio Club will hold an amateur radio exam session at 6 p.m. at the Adams County Emergency Management Office, 31 Logan's Lane in West Union, Ohio. Please pre-register by emailing k8weh@k8weh@awrl.net or on the k8ge.net website. On December 13th, the Scott County Amateur Radio Club will hold an amateur radio testing session at the Georgetown Police Department in Georgetown, Kentucky. On December 13th, the Westchester Amateur Radio Association will host an amateur radio exam session at 10 a.m. at the Voice of America Museum, 8070 Tylersville Road in Westchester, Ohio. To register, go to hamstudy.org/session/WC8VOA. On January 10, 2026, the Westchester Amateur Radio Association will host an amateur radio exam session at 10 a.m. at the Voice of America Museum, 8070 Tylersville Road in Westchester, Ohio. To register, go to hamstudy.org/sessions/WC8VOA. Special thanks to this week's content contributors: WB8VNH, KY4GW, WB8YYS, KD8ZLD, K9HIO, N8LAR, K4NKU.
If you have something you think other amateur radio operators in the area would be interested in, send the information or your recorded audio file attached in an email to ab4ws.radio@gmail.com.
Covering your amateur radio news and information in the greater Cincinnati, Ohio, Kentucky, and Indiana tri-state area, this is Jack Prindle, AB4WS in Big Bone, Kentucky.